everyone, it's Amanda, and today I'm going to do my mid-June wrap-up. I am really gonna try to do weekly wrap-ups starting next week. Fingers crossed that I will be motivated to do this because I would rather review a few books so I can talk more about them than do a whole bunch. So I'm gonna try it. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you what I've read in June so far. It's really not a ton. 7 books in June so far. I'm not reading a lot so far in June, which is sad because I've been off since June 4th. I got done with work, so I should have been reading more, but hopefully that will pick up. So anyway, I'm going to show you what I've read. First book is My Father's House by Rose Chandler Johnson. I received this from LitFu's publicity group in exchange for an honest review, and she signed it. She's such a nice lady. She's communicated with me through Goodreads, and she just seems like a really nice lady. This is an interesting story. It's about a woman named Lily Rose Cates, and she gets married after this really whirlwind romance that she meets this guy. They get married. She doesn't really know him very well, and he's not a very nice person, she comes to find out. She decides to move back to her father's old house in Georgia. I believe it's the house he grew up in, and as she's there, you get to meet all the people that live in this little town in Georgia. I am a northerner. I've lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, so I've always truly believed in Southern hospitality. When I was in high school, my church denomination has this big event. I think it's every 3 years. It's called Life, and it's in a different place in the country every 3 years for the youth. And I went, and it was in Salt Lake City, and I'll never forget the kids from Georgia. They were so friendly, and they had this cute Southern accent, and I really thought that was neat to get to meet all these different people. And I don't know, I'm not saying people in the North aren't friendly. I'm just saying it was just neat to meet these people that were from the South. So anyway, this was just a really neat story. It's kind of a coming of age story. She is growing up and just learning a lot of lessons along the way. I thought it was really well written, very interesting. It is Christian fiction, but there was some swearing in it, which I don't always love, especially in Christian fiction. But in the context that it was in, I kind of understood why it was there. So I got that. But I think it could have been maybe used in a different way. But overall, it was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. I read Weekend by Christopher Pike. One of the Facebook groups I'm on is reading one of these kind of books every week, and this was the one they chose that week, and I had it, so I picked it up. It's about these kids, these teenagers that come together on a weekend, and they go to Mexico to one of the girls' summer homes, and there's a lot of kind of angst and drama going on, lots of secrets. One of the girls, the sister of the girl whose summer home it is, had an accident a year ago, and there's a lot of mystery around it. I thought it was a decent story. I do like Christopher Pike's writing. I think comparing him to R.L. Stine, he is a much better writer as far as that goes. But I felt like there was a lot of buildup and not any payoff. The ending was kind of lackluster to me. But the story was enjoyable the whole way through, so I gave it 4 stars. After that, I read June by Miranda Beverly Whitmore. This I received from Blogging for Books in exchange for an honest review. I was super excited that I was able to get this because I read Bittersweet by her last year and really liked it. One thing she does really well is creates the atmosphere perfectly. This book is about an old house that a woman named June lives in the 50s, I believe, and then, I think it's the 50s, I think. And then the present day, her granddaughter inherits the house and lives there, and she finds out secrets about her grandmother that she never knew. And when June was a teenager, they made a movie in the town she lived in, and one of the movie stars, Jack, and her have this relationship. So it was really interesting. I thought it was a fun story. It definitely is very atmospheric and is a good summer read because it takes place in the summer, and I loved, you know, the old house. I live in an old house, so I love the character of old houses and just thought that was interesting. And I gave this 4 stars. Then I read The Seed by Eric Guzman. I read a lot of review books so far in June. I'm almost done with my review books. This is a fantasy, and I have never read high fantasy. I was a little hesitant to read this, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but it definitely was not my kind of book. It has a dragon, and it has a lot of symbolism in it. It's about a woman and 2 men, and they live in this place, and they have to build a labyrinth to keep the shadow out, things like that. I totally understood the symbolism. It was very easy to follow, and it is a Christian fiction, so the symbolism is religious in nature. But it just wasn't really the book for me. I gave it 3 stars because it was easy to follow, easy to understand, easy to picture, but I didn't exactly enjoy the story. So I think if you like fantasy, you would probably enjoy it, but I just wasn't as much of a fan of it. And I read Kill Devil by Mike Deloso. I received this from Tyndale Publishing Company in exchange for an honest review. This is book 2 to the Centralia. I don't know if it's a duology. The way this finished, I could see it being a duology, but I think it could also go on. It is a Jed Patrick novel, so it's possible that there will be more. I liked Centralia, but I didn't love it. I did really like this one. I actually gave this 5 stars. It starts where that one left off, and these people, Jed Patrick is on the run and trying to solve a lot of things that are going on, and it just was action from start to finish. His writing is really good. He's a very good author as far as pulling you into the story. It's very easy to understand, very easy to read, and I really did enjoy this. I thought this was a big step up from Centralia. It's Christian fiction. It does mention God and faith and prayer, so just be aware of that, but I really liked it. So definitely was glad to read this. I read Pretties by Scott Westerfeld. I read Uglies a couple months ago and thought it was okay. Read this and I had to force myself to finish it. I started this a long time ago and I was just having a hard time. It was just dragging for me. This is just not my series. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was okay. I don't really like any of the characters. I don't really care that much about the plot. It just doesn't have anything that makes me want to keep reading. So I have Shay's Story, which is the graphic novel that I might read because that will be quick. And I also have specials, but I don't think I'm going to read specials, and I'm not going to read extras because I'm just not into it. I don't really care what happened. This was kind of a similar plot to the first one in a way, and it just didn't pull me in. I gave it 3 stars because I was able to finish it. I didn't think it was horrible, but it's just not my thing. The last book is one that I just finished today, and that is Utopia by Lincoln Child. This was really cool. This is about an amusement park in Reno, Nevada called Utopia, and the main character, I just read this book today, Andrew Warren. He is a professor of robotics in Pittsburgh. He gets called to this place because they need his help. There's something wrong with the MetaNet, which is what he developed for this place. This amusement park is so cool. I want to go there. There is a map of the park in the book, which I absolutely love. And there are 4 different worlds. There's one that's the boardwalk. It's like a beach, beach kind of amusement park. There's Callisto, which is like a sci-fi space. There's Gaslight, which is like London in the Victorian era, and then Camelot, which is like a medieval place. And it sounded a lot like Disney World in a lot of ways because there's an underground level where the employees go and stuff like that. But anyway, there's basically terrorists that are trying to attack the park and they have to figure out what's going on. I really loved the atmospheric quality of this. Reading about the park, reading about the rides, things they were doing. I don't know why I love books about amusement parks and I don't like going to amusement parks, but I like reading about them. So I loved that part of it. But this book was just too long in my opinion. Kind of reminded me of, this might sound really crazy, but this kind of reminded me of the movie Speed, if you've ever seen Speed, because you've got that whole bus situation and it's so thrilling, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen Speed, but it's from like 1994, so hopefully you've seen it by now. If you haven't, watch it. That bus scene is so interesting, and they get through the bus scene, and I think that's when it could have been over, because you were just like on this high about the bus, but no, they had to do the subway thing too. And to me, I didn't think the subway thing lived up to the bus thing. So I felt like this was kind of like that, where, you know, you get through one thing and then you gotta keep going, and it just kind of got boring to me a little bit. So I gave it 3.5 stars. I definitely loved the amusement park atmosphere and that part of it, but the whole terrorist plot line wasn't really that exciting to me. So that's it. Those are the books I have read so far in June. I am definitely going to try to read more soon. I am reading I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. I just picked it up today. So far, I'm really liking that. It's supposed to be really, really good, so I'm hoping that it is. And that's it. So I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Bye.